Nuclear codes. We're going nuclear. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's
Let's go.
go. Let's go. These people don't realize we're the OG Drake stands, huh? We gonna ride it
Oh, goodness. We've been there since day one.
since day one.
Since best I ever had. Even though I don't fuck with that album. But
Nah, that's
nah, it's not
that's
good.
old.
Yeah. We like we like that transition from Pussy Drake to the fucking ultimate profesh.
I think that transition was kind of from nothing was the same to like when we were just getting into college with more life.
Yeah. Yep. And then I remember when he dropped. Wait, nothing was the same. Was the one where he's in the clouds and his
Yeah, the
face is
blue one.
sideways? Yeah, yeah.
From
That's
there.
when he. Yeah, from there on, all right. But when he dropped, if you're reading this, it's too late.
Oh, with
That's
Future.
no, not that one. That's Oh, did that one come out before? If you're reading this, it's too late. Is the one where it's white album with the
With the
diamonds back?
diamonds. Oh
No,
no,
that
I
one's
know what
with
you're
Future.
saying. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Yeah, nothing was the same. It's like the black scribble, black scribble
Yeah,
writing. Yeah,
yeah, that one.
that's when he started turning up.
Yeah, that's when he said "fuck y'all," because then he said, "I got enemies. I got a lot of enemies. Got a lot of people trying to take me of this energy." And then he had 10 bands on there.
He saw it coming from years ago. He knew this was gonna happen. No more Drake stimmies for all these, riders that were just. Can I get a feature? Can I get a feature? Goes number one.
Yeah, yeah. And then all you hear all the old school Drake fans. I like old Drake when he was a pussy, singing about love songs. Shut up, gay boy. You hear those people, the guys who, what's that one album where he has all the fucking gay songs on it? With Lil Wayne. Hell yeah, fucking right. That song's good, but
Oh, take care. Yeah, everyone loves that one.
yeah, that album's busted. Only good songs are Hell yeah, fucking right, and
Started from the bottom. Is that one on there?
no, that's on the In the Clouds face
Oh
sideways.
yeah,
This
yeah.
yeah, or he posed like this. All right. You want to drop us in the people? I know the people are probably thinking, what's
Yeah, what
going
are we
on?
talking about?
How's this gonna make me
I'm a
rich?
Kendrick fan.
Mustard. Oh my goodness, I gotta tell you a fucking story about that after the stream.
All right, yeah, we'll drop us in. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Gentleman's Code. I believe we're on episode 48 is what I have on my end. So if you guys were here from the OG days when we started the Gentleman's Code last summer, it's been almost a year in the making. So, if you guys have been with us from the beginning, congratulations. You've seen it all. You've seen the technical difficulties we had when we first started. I don't even think we made it through the first three episodes because one, we didn't either have sound or we didn't even have audio.
Right.
Something was going on the first like 4 or 5 episodes. So we've come a long way since then, being able to pop on here and do it whenever we want. But a lot of stuff going on in the world, a lot of stuff going on in business, and a lot of motivation to be given. It's on here to be motivating. It's on here to get you up out of bed in the morning and get you working. And same for each other. That's why we do it. That's why we come on here and talk. So Priamo, how you doing? How's it going? How's your week? And what's going on? What are you building?
We're fucking fired up. We're ready for war. Boba Fett and I have been in the fucking trenches, developing, building. Are you still working on that one soft? Nice.
I
Fuck
actually
yeah.
just had a big meeting with Plaid. I don't know if you've ever seen Plaid before. So they're going to be my banking integration. So when you pop on and you want to connect a bank account, there's some like kind of loopholes you got to jump through in order to be compliant with the banks like Wells Fargo, Chase. They have some things requirements you have to meet. The boy already met those requirements. So I met with some of their onboarding people and some of their developers to be able to make sure the development is key. So yeah, that's in the works. I just got to kind of pay the initial server fee to be able to use their service and connect to the banks. But yeah, that's it's coming together.
Sick. And we already talked about how we can integrate that into the business that we have right now. Beautiful. Because there's going to be a big use case for our brokerage, our company, for what you're building. That's fire. Fire.
Yeah, my main last kind of hoop I got to jump through is the actual accounting workflow. It's like how I'm trying to find that balance between being an in-depth accounting workflow where you see your revenues, you see your expenses, and you see all the things you're purchasing, but then also simplifying it with the AI. So trying to find that balance between, all right, it's simple, it's easy. The banking integration was one of those hoops, but finding something that's simple for people that don't want to have to do all the accounting and BS workflows you got to do. So that's kind of the last kind of hoop here, making it in depth enough that it's useful, but also simple enough that anybody could just get in there and use it.
Right. Fuck you. And that's what it is. You see, that's you can't lose if you don't quit. Every week we're doing something. We're building something. And people get so discouraged whenever one or two things, business ideas don't work, that didn't go my way, blah blah blah. Not every business idea is going to work. 99% of them are actually not going to work. But it's the people who actually continue to try trial and error and develop different things until something catches. Those are the people who win. It's not that they were any better than you or smarter than you have tried. No, it's just they kept doing different things. A lot of people will just quit after one idea, one project, one business. Like, fuck it, I can't do it. I need to go do it. All right, well, then you're never going to fucking win. You're never going to figure it out. You have to go through so many different things before you can find the one product, the one service that actually cracks off for you.
Yeah, and it's all trial and error is pretty much what it is. Even you, like you've been through how many different steps in the insurance business now in the 5 years you've been doing it. You've gone through so many steps in just that frame, and that's the way I'm taking it too. Is you try different things, especially in the age of AI. You're able to build things so quick and able to test trial and error super fast now is the way to do it. You know, you want to build something. If it doesn't work out, people don't want it. All right, you move on to the next thing. But being able to build and being able to test quickly is key. And we always, that's one of our mottos, right? Is business is speed. So you have to get things up and running quick. You have to test it quick. You have to get it to market quick. And that's how you can understand. That's how you get data points to whether if people are going to buy it, if it's going to make money, and whatever else you need. So yeah, building it with speed is key. And if it doesn't work out, you move on to the next thing. But you have to learn. You have to take what you learned in that failure to the next step.
Exactly. Yeah. And feedback and reflecting is what's going to give you improvements that are meaningful. So we just, a good example of this is watching game tape, separate from business, but just a way to get feedback for yourself and actually improve. We watched film of a guy who's writing, doing sales right now. And as soon as we watched this filmed, instantly could identify the issues that he was having with his presentation. And he was able to identify it too because he went from a third person perspective, actually went and looked back at the game tape and, oh, okay, I see what I was saying. I see what I was doing wrong. I see how I sound to the client. It gives you such a better perspective. And then you can actually write down and analyze the adjustments you have to make so the next time you actually improve. Mm-hmm. Because repetition in and of itself isn't going to be the only thing that improves your abilities, right? Great example, we've talked about this before, is speech, right? There are people who are 50, 60 years old who've been speaking the English language for 60 years but sound like babbling buffoons and don't understand how to speak, aren't articulate. Well, they have so much practice. Why don't they speak well? Because there's no reflection, there's no development, there's no actually getting better at it. So yeah, you have to reflect. You got to get data and then reflect and then make adjustments.
And with building businesses in 2025, reflecting on your previous experiences, people get discouraged too, right? They say, "Oh, that didn't work. I can't do that again." But maybe you just needed to tweak it in a way that reflected more with the customers or with the users. Some people, they'll say, "Oh, that didn't work. I just have to move on for it." It's like maybe it would have worked if you would have done something slightly different or slightly, just changed your philosophy in the ever slightest way, and it might have worked. You see this with social media, right? People will post two different videos, but they'll change the intro of one to maybe they're looking at the camera as opposed to looking away from the camera, and that video goes viral for like hundreds of thousands of views. So tweaking it and ever building off of what is only going to benefit you in the long run. So like you're saying, watching game film, watching yourself speak backwards is key. I always do that with these videos and be like, "Oh wow, I sound like an idiot there," but you live and you learn.
Right, exactly. All right, we gotta talk about it because it's the title on my stream, so I gotta mention it. Last time we jumped on, was it already broken the news that Epstein was innocent?
Yeah, I think so. That's why yeah.
Okay, all right. So Jeffrey Epstein's innocent. Now, I watched a recent podcast with Tucker Carlson. Did you see the one that I think I sent it to you?
Yeah.
The one with Tucker. Okay, did you get a chance to see that?
Yeah, I watched probably like the first hour and a half with that one guy, yeah.
Okay, that's the guy who does the history podcast. By the way, have you ever listened to those?
Mm-mm.
Fantastic. He's the one who does one of the best ones on Israel and Palestine and that whole conflict and the history behind it.
Uh,
I mean, it's like 8 hours long, but he does everything, all the research, all the backstory, the whole history of the whole situation. So it gives you an opportunity to actually learn the history about that conflict. But he does this for many different historical events. So he's a master historian, master researcher. This guy's fucking professional. So he does it on Epstein, and he does an episode on Epstein. So Tucker has him on, and the shit he talks about with that whole Epstein case just even further blew my mind as to how clearly obvious this guy was, number one, doing the shit that they accused him for in the first place,
yeah.
and then all of a sudden exonerated him of, and then very clearly was an intelligence asset, was working with intelligence for these other countries. I mean, how
Yeah.
could it not? How could he not be?
That's one of the biggest and most alarming things was when he first got arrested in Palm Beach or tried in Palm Beach. The attorney general of the district, or what, I don't know exactly how it works for attorney generals and lawyers. They go to the judge and say, "Oh, you have to drop this. You have to drop this case down way further than what it is for trafficking." And the judge does it. It's like, why? That doesn't make any sense. This is one of the most well-known people in the area, Palm Beach, trafficking women in and out of his place. And there's like hundreds of them that have come forward saying that he's done misconduct towards them. And the judge is like, "Oh, yeah, we're just going to drop this. We're going to drop it." So they
Hmm.
drop it way down from like 200 charges to like one count. And then that's what ends up going to jail for in Palm Beach.
Yeah. And he wasn't even in jail 24/7. You know, he had privileges to leave on the weekend or some shit. And that it was some fucking Pablo Escobar shit where they put him in jail, but he wasn't really in jail. While he was serving his jail time, he would fly on his private jet to other countries. He would go on trips, do shit like that, come back, check in for the week, etc. Just insanity. It was fugazi. It's a fugazi. So what was interesting was the backstory about how he got hired at that school in New York, that private school.
Yeah.
And so the guy who hired him as a math teacher at 20 years old to work at this school was the father of the attorney general who prosecuted Epstein the second time
In New York.
in New York.
Yeah. And that's what he ended up like going to jail and dying in jail from.
Right. So interesting, right? Because the father of the guy who ends up prosecuting him later in life was the one who hired him.
Hmm.
And the big scandal with that was not scandal, but the what was odd about it is they hired Epstein for this prestigious private school in New York, where you have to have incredible credentials. They have the best professors in the entire country. Go work at this school. He was 20, no college degree, no background in teaching, nothing. Hired as the math professor. Interesting. It's
Hmm.
odd.
And then he is fired or let go from for some reason. People say it's misconduct, maybe talking to kids, a little too friendly after school, whatever it is. So he gets let go from that job, and then he gets hired as an investment analyst at Bear Stearns. It's like, okay, there's another job you need. It's kind of some requirements to be met, maybe a degree. So he goes there, and then he's doing client financial relations for some of the wealthiest people in the world. How does he get that job?
Right. Connected, right? So somebody at that school, likely that guy who hired him as a teacher, obviously made sure he landed on his feet after they kicked him out of the school because it sounds like he was, messing with the high school Hussolini. He's always had a fucking eye for the young ladies.
Yeah.
And so they put him at the Bear Stern and he starts now working up close with these billionaires, multimillionaires, helping them invest their money when in reality what they were doing is helping these billionaires and millionaires move money in a way where they could avoid being taxed on it,
Hmm.
avoid it being seen when they were going to do illicit transactions. And there was one thing I was going to say. Oh, before we move on with the story, I tried this. I checked it because now I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh, okay. What background is Epstein? Oh, turns out he's Jewish too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's look at this. I went to look up online on Google. I kept trying to Google, is Jeffrey Epstein Jewish? Google won't show it.
Really?
Won't show it. It won't pop up any search results or confirmation that he's Jewish. You have to go to like AI or Grok to get them to tell you straight up that, yeah, oh yeah, he's Jewish. Isn't that nuts? They hide that information on Google. Google censors shit. For you guys who don't know that,
That's crazy.
it won't tell you. I look up. It won't. I'll type in like, is Jeffrey Epstein Jewish? Won't give me a single search result about it. It's
That's
nuts.
nuts. That's crazy.
So, okay. So that's that. So then he goes to work at Bear Stearns, starts brushing up against these guys who are big money people, and so basically he's doing these under the table transactions that aren't, you know, they're not above the waist, uh, and they end up firing him from Bear Stearns as well
Mm-hmm.
because of these things he was doing was a little bit too illegal for them. So that's whenever they let him go. But once again, made sure that they landed on his feet and he started working with these other guys. The one billionaire he started working with really closely was that guy who owned Victoria's Secret,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. And that was, hey, smart. It's a good route to start trafficking some other women, right?
Yep.
Modeling.
And then the weirdest thing about that is the power of attorney that he signed over. So this multi multi-billionaire who owns multiple department stores, Victoria's Secrets, like Hollister,
Harry,
Abercrombie
one
and
sec.
Fitch.
One sec, Harry. This is happening live. I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.
No, you're
I'll be
good.
right back. Keep giving him the story. I'll be right back.
So going on about Abercrombie and Fitch, and he goes on to sign over the power of attorney to this guy, Jeffrey Epstein. And from there, Jeffrey Epstein can do anything with this guy's money. He can sell Abercrombie and Fitch if he wanted to, or Victoria's Secret. Which, why would this guy do that? It doesn't really make sense. You know, who is this? I mean, maybe because he knew Epstein's background in financial services. You know, he thought he could move some money around shadily between companies. So, who knows? Crazy. I don't know where Priamo wanted to go with that. But, yeah, I forget his name. That was the owner at the time of those companies. But he did end up signing the power of attorney over, which gave him full range to do whatever he wanted with his money, which what we know now about him was probably some shady things. So I believe actually one of the, and I'll tell Priamo this when he gets back, one of the guys, I believe it was recently, maybe it was Abercrombie and Fitch, so I'm thinking of, actually got caught up doing that, actually got caught up trafficking young children, young women. So he got caught up doing that, and he's closely, Westner, I believe is his name. Let me look it up. Lux Westner, I believe was his name. So just there's too many coincidences to just be one coincidence. Getting let go of the prestigious school in New York City, and then you get a job at Bear Stearns with as an investment analyst, working with billionaires and multimillionaires that own all these businesses, and then you start meeting arms dealers, human traffickers. One of the people, I forget his name as well, in that podcast was talking about this group out of Ohio, or maybe that's where the guy who owned Victoria's Secret lived, out of Ohio, but this very wealthy group out of Ohio that was building this mega group of wealthy, I believe they were wealthy Jewish people in the United States. And Jeffrey Epstein was the head of that group, one of the heads of that group. But, it's still an open case to this day. Nobody really knows what happened to him or how that happened. But it just goes to show the amount of shady business that goes on in this world. It's happening every day. It's happening right now somewhere across the world, somewhere in Europe, somewhere in Asia, somewhere in the United States. There's shady business deals going on by bad people, and they're making a lot of money from it. So, not saying to do shady business, just be wary of it out there. If you're meeting somebody who you think is doing some shady stuff, he probably is. There's so much crazy stuff that goes on in the world. Um, I guess what I could touch on quick, since Priamo brought it up in the beginning of the show, is the the power of AI and what we're building with artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is going to be your workers in the future. So people aren't going to be able to hire 5 people, 10 people starting off in a small business, an online digital business, e-commerce business, right? Some people don't have the funds to just go out, hire marketing, hire a data analyst, hire a deep researcher, and being able to go out and do all this work for them. Where the real money is going to be made in the future is going to be people building workflows with AI automation that'll be able to go out and do these things for them and then report back. Whether if that's reports in document form or whether that, reporting back is actually the work being done. That is what the future holds for AI. It's going to be able to provide you with a workforce that could go out, do work for you, and then report back. So what I'm working on right now, what I'm building right now, is going to be a SaaS, a software as a service, but the whole marketing is going to be done by AI. The research of what this product can do for people was done by AI. And then building the actual software, programming it, coding, developing, was also done by AI. And I also had to give the guidance, give the vision, and give all these pointers to where it could go. But at the same time, you got to utilize the tools that are out there. I don't come from a developer background. I don't come from a coding background. I don't know how to do any of that stuff, right? I used to look at it 5 to 7 years ago and think, wow, I wish I could, do coding. But it's so in depth and so much knowledge needs to be learned and so much time has to go into it too, right? Back in the day, like when they're starting Facebook, when they're starting some of these online softwares or online social networking, it had tons of people and years to get to that point. Mr. Priamo's back. So keep building and keep going after it. What's going on,
Thanks, Harry. What's up, brother? I was gonna fucking die. So,
No, you're
but I
good.
see Arion and the fucking gentleman are rocking. Look at the whatever you were saying was so fire that the live stream viewers had jumped
Of
since I was
course.
gone. They fucking love it.
But wrapping up what you were saying, I believe his name was Lex Westner or something was what I was saying. I don't remember exactly. Could have been Wes Lexner or Lex Westner, something like that.
Yes. Somebody that right, that's a recognizable name. Are you talking about that's the guy he was working with?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Victoria's Secret guy.
Yeah. Wexner. Yeah, Wexner. Here he is right here. There he is. 87 now. Yeah, so this guy starts working with Epstein after, one meeting becomes the guy's Epstein becomes his right-hand man, basically family, just access to everything. And what Wexner had done, which was so insane, was within a year of meeting Epstein, a year or two, he had signed over his
Yeah.
entire, is that what you told him?
Yeah, power of
Yeah,
attorney. Yep.
everything. Interesting. And so somebody who had been working with Lex, a very close friend of his who was part of Victoria's Secret, had come to Wexner and told him, "Hey, Epstein's using Victoria's Secret as a way to be able to traffic these girls, exploit them for whatever it may be. Don't you think we should do something about this?" After he said that to Les Wexner, boom, Epstein talks to him, boom, 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 because him and Epstein got into an argument about that as well. Epstein talks to him, guy completely cuts off the dude, fires him, never talks to him again. Boom,
Hmm.
done. So, what kind of control does this Epstein character have all over all these guys that he's able to manage all their finances, billions and billions and billions of dollars, get them to do whatever he wants them to do without any real consequence? Like, what is
Hmm.
it that he's doing, or what does he have on these guys?
Yeah. Well, I think we know now it's definitely a blackmail. It has a piece to do with it. But what I was saying while you were gone, I don't know if you remember, but the CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch, who is closely related to Epstein and this other guy, Lex West. What was it? What's his name? Wes Lexner.
Less,
Les.
less Wexner, yeah.
I keep switching around. But the CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch, you can look this up. This just happened like 3 years ago. Got arrested for human trafficking. Who was very closely related to both of these guys. Abercrombie and Fitch. We know kids. Remember Abercrombie and Fitch back in the day? They used to have young
Yeah.
teenage boys standing out front wearing bathing suits. Like weird stuff. Weird stuff. So yeah, he got caught up and he was known to be in relation with these guys.
Interesting. So interesting. And so the other individual, which was Ghislaine Maxwell and her father, right?
Hmm.
So Epstein gets connected with this billionaire. So Ghislaine's father, what's his name? Uh, Hold on, let me pull it up real fast.
Robert?
Yeah, Robert Maxwell. That's what it is. Okay. So Robert Maxwell is the other character in the story that everybody hears about, who basically multi billionaire from England. I believe he's from the UK,
Yeah.
which makes sense. So let me give you guys the whole history, right? So we talk about Israel and Palestine. So some backstory. So Israel had been created after World War II. It was a place for the Jewish people to be able to have their own homeland, have a piece of territory in this world, so they would stop getting discriminated against, something they can control, etc. And so the reason that these Jewish people had moved from Russia through Eastern Europe over to the Western European side in the UK is because they were trying to get away from pogroms and the whole anti-Semitism that was taking place. They were getting killed, so obviously they want to get out of there. So they go to the UK, and these guys start building up businesses in the UK, start becoming rich, financially successful. One of these people is Maxwell, right? The father, Robert, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Robert. So Robert Maxwell in the UK becomes a part of intelligence there, and he's multi-billionaire. So he's using his money to influence government. He has friends, politicians. He deals with the intel services over there.
Media.
Media. He
It's a
owns a media
big,
company.
big piece.
Yep. And so he was one of the individuals that helped set up and fund Israel, okay, in the UK at this time, back in the 40s and 50s. And he was also an agent. He was a Mossad agent.
Hmm.
So he was an agent, or at least an asset of the Mossad for Israel. He was a part of it whenever they first set it up. So he's part of Mossad, Israel Intel Services. Meets Epstein, introduces Epstein to his daughter, Ghislaine. Ghislaine does what? Well, she partakes in the family business as well. So she's also a Mossad Intel asset for Israel. So Ghislaine and Epstein are together running this organization for human trafficking, underage girls, getting all these influential people to take part in this. Well, would it be insane to assume that because of all those circumstances, this is at some degree some type of blackmail or intel operation that they're trying to manipulate and use these influential people to do their own bidding based off of blackmail?
Hmm.
That be a far out assumption to make.
No, absolutely not. And I mean, I think isn't she supposed to testify soon? I saw that they're subpoenaing her to come testify for some sort of immunity or something. Like if she testifies, gives some information, they'll help her out in some way. And if you have to give her something to talk, that's what it is. But yeah, in terms of her father, known Mossad agent, known intelligence agent for the British Army or whatever it is. So yeah, why would she not partake in that family business? And the fact that he brought Epstein in and brushing shoulders with so many influential people. Like, how do you get the president of the United States on your jet to your house and all these other people, Bill Gates, all these wealthy, successful American people? It's just, it's crazy.
Clinton loved the Lolita Express. He loved it.
He did.
He
So
loved
he
it.
was only on there like 85 times.
Yeah, and you know he's a freak. You know what he did with Lewinsky at the White House and
Hmm.
shit. Like he's fucking doing some dirty shit. So yeah, so there's certainly a connection there with everybody, right? And but the big deal is not the big deal, but I think what the major operation that was going on there, just based off the information, is primarily it was money laundering. I don't see it as the primary source of income or objective there was to do the human trafficking or the blackmail. I
Hmm.
think that was more so a byproduct of the people that they were dealing with as a way to have some type of control over them.
Yeah.
But not because specifically to just control them just for the sake of controlling them, but because Epstein was running a scheme where he would help these billionaires hide money, move money, deal make in a way that these things could stay off the books. And I'll explain what that is in a second, like what kind of deals. But when he was doing this for these multi-billionaires, and let's say he moves a billion, 2 billion, $5 billion for people, he would steal a billion while he was doing it. And so the whole point of the blackmail and
Yep.
having the shit on them was so that when they found out he was stealing from them, they were afraid to prosecute him or go forward or go public with it because he had all this dirt on them, right?
Yep.
So it was actually all financial at the end of the day. And that's how Epstein was living like a not like he was a multi-billionaire, just deal making or being a financial advisor, which what financial advisor makes billions and billions of dollars?
Unless you're stealing it.
Exactly. Exactly. And another good point too that, people had made is, he's managing these billions of dollars and he's posing as a hedge fund guy, this money guy. Hedge funds aren't one person operations.
Yeah, it's teams, analysts, data. It's like you have a lot of information. Some of these multi-billionaires, they own thousands of different stocks in their portfolio. So you have to manage those. He
Yeah.
wasn't managing no stock portfolios.
Yeah. He's not investing for anybody. It was not a hedge fund manager. He was a mover. He knew how to move money off the books so people could transact without the government finding out about it. So examples of what these deals are is there's a lot of arms companies. One of them actually got caught publicly recently. I forget if it was Raytheon or one of the major weapons manufacturers got caught doing this recently. But when they do these deals between governments for weapons, these war contracts, because there's so much money in fucking war, it's illegal to bribe or do under the table type of transactions to make sure that a deal gets chosen with your company as opposed to another. But they still want to do this, right? And these are multi-$100 million transactions that we're talking about. So what they'll do is off the books, they'll need somebody like an Epstein who can fuck with the accounting and fuck with the money movement in a way where the government isn't going to be easily able to trace where the funds had gone, so they could start to bribe these people for certain deals,
Yeah,
right?
and if you remember who he was brushing shoulders with, those it was those types of guys, arms dealers. Arms dealers aren't just going to the bank and taking out $10 million to go buy weapons. No, they have to find back channels and work with governments and like it's people in the Middle East, they need weapons here. Like you just don't go out and buy them from Lockheed Martin and ship them over. No, you have to find back channels, and that's the type of guys he was working with.
Right. He's a middleman. He was a deal maker. And so as he's making these deals though, like we said, that's how he's stealing money. Because if a guy like Les Wexner gives him access to, a multi-billion-dollar empire, eh, Epstein's gonna, he's gonna break off a billy for himself. And if Wexner ever gets upset about it, he can just say, Wex, listen, buddy, I got you here on my private island, snuggled up against a couple 16-year-olds. Probably want to keep quiet about that.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's and what's disgraceful is so everybody understands that, right? And the point with the Epstein case isn't the fact that people don't get what was happening. It's that people get what was happening,
Mm-hmm.
but the government's lying to us about it.
Yes.
So
So
yeah, go ahead.
that's where I wanted to take it next. So I don't know if you saw the podcast that I sent you with Tim Dillon and Alex Jones. They kind of continue on that conversation from Tucker Carlson. And where I think like we're at now with this whole case and this whole story, government and crime, right, is a really interesting piece that Tim Dillon and Alex Jones brought up was Jeffrey Epstein had a neighbor in New York City during his time there, and that neighbor is now in the Trump administration. If you know who it is, say it, and I'm going to say it. But this could be the implication that, Trump was, he's probably in the files in some way. He knew Jeffrey Epstein. He was a friend with Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, right? We know that at this point. But Howard Lutnick was Jeffrey Epstein's neighbor. So are they purposely not releasing the files to cover some people that were implicated in some business with Jeffrey Epstein? Howard Lutnick, maybe. So there's whole different routes now. It's like, okay, Howard Lutnick was his neighbor. What did he know? What did he see? Was he, did Jeffrey Epstein try to bring him in to get blackmailed? Lutnick knew about it. It's like there's a whole new world that opened up knowing that Howard Lutnick was his neighbor in New York City. Same apartment
Mm-hmm.
building. So it's like that's a whole new way of like thinking that, okay, that makes sense of why Trump would want to not release this, right? It's like his Secretary of Commerce and all this business across the world. If that comes out, who's going to want to do business with Howard Lutnick knowing that he was
Mm-hmm.
implicated with Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah, and Elon wasn't lying to us.
Yeah.
Elon, he fucking said it, and we were like, Elon's a smart motherfucker. That's the thing is, he's a smart motherfucker, and he's not gonna say something like that unless he knows. You're not just gonna come out on X with hundreds of millions of people that are gonna see your post, and you say that without knowing for sure that he was.
Yeah.
I don't see Elon being that kind of a fucking idiot. There's no way.
I mean, how would he know that though? How would he know? Like he would have had I mean, he either heard someone talking about it or he saw it directly.
I was gonna say Doge, so well, yeah, I don't suppose Doge would have access to something like that, but he was so ingrained in the government. I'm sure that somebody who had been looking at the files or knows something, they're going to tell you. They told him, or
Yeah.
who knows? All I'm saying is, I just can't wrap my head around Elon saying that without any conviction that it was true.
Yeah. Any data showing that or hearing that, even if it's just a rumor, right?
Yeah, I don't I don't think he would do that. I
Yeah.
just don't. Maybe he would, but in my mind, that doesn't make sense to me. If he's gonna put out that type of accusation, and he's also aware that there's defamation laws, there's a lot of implications for people who just outright lie about somebody like that. So, and Elon knows that. So
Hmm.
Trump easily could sue him for defamation of character, those sorts of things. So, yeah, again, I don't see him throwing that out,
And it just
the
not being
allegation,
true at all.
and it just not being true at all.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think if you think about what the last administration was trying to do to Trump, right? They were trying to indict him for anything. They were trying to get him for tax evasion. They were trying to get him for inflating the value of his assets in New York. You would think they were probably trying to build a case against him with Jeffrey Epstein, right? So that's why he's in those files, I would guess, is they were working very hard to dig through their relationship over the past 30 years or so, whatever they were doing in New York. So he's got to be in those files for that reason. I guess they ultimately didn't have enough time to find anything useful to take him to court or to bring it out because they never released it. But now that it's in there, they don't want to release it because who knows what it says and who's implicated. Like we said, Howard Lutnick can be indicated. And I also heard something very interesting too, that Susie Wiles, chief of staff for President Trump, was on Benjamin Netanyahu's campaign manager when he ran for president in Israel. So why? So that came full circle to me. Like, okay, that is why Netanyahu and Trump are so close right now. Susie Wiles, chief of staff, running the show in the White House, was also his campaign manager and chief of staff.
Oh my
The
goodness.
shit gets deeper and deeper.
She was the fucking campaign manager for Netanyahu.
Mm-hmm.
How the fuck did she get to the White House? Is she Israeli or is she American? Do you
She's
know?
American, but she's got ties to past presidents. I'm pretty sure she worked in the White House with like Reagan. Yeah, so she's been in the White House in that sphere for a long time.
Let's look it up. I'm gonna look it up right now. Watch Google not show me. So what's her name?
Susie Wiles, chief of staff.
Susie Wiles, Chief of Staff. I'm gonna say is
I believe that's. I think Alex Jones said that on that podcast. Yeah, like Susie Wiles, Benjamin Netanyahu. She helped run his campaign.
who Susie was. I'm trying to see. It's not telling me what her background is. Let's see. Political party, education. Education was University of Maryland. So yeah, it looks like she was American born in Lake City, Florida. Republican. Okay, but yeah, but how is she Netanyahu's campaign manager is my question. So American political consulate. Now watch. If I ask Grok, I bet you it'll tell me right away. Oops. Because it won't tell me about Susie Wiles. But anyways, okay. So hold that point. But that's a fantastic fucking connection. So I'm glad you brought that up. So what I was gonna say with the Trump thing and the files is because I've heard Tucker and a couple other people make the argument that, oh no, I don't think Trump's actually in the files or implicated because the the Biden administration would obviously have released that, leaked it, done something to try to convict him on that, right? Obviously, that's the best way to get rid of Trump. So I don't necessarily believe that. I get the logic, but here's why I don't believe it. I don't believe that's necessarily true why it didn't come out. It's because I don't think that the Democratic or Republican Party has any control over it.
Mm,
It's the CIA and the intelligence agencies that are harboring the information. And so if they're deciding that it's not allowed to get leaked or this is not going to be shown to the president, whatever it may be, then it just won't get shown. So I don't buy into that what like Tucker was saying. Oh yeah, done it because the Democrats. No, I don't believe that because I don't think they even have a choice.
yeah. Congress can't keep their mouth shut, so they're not going to give them that type of information.
Yeah, because it's beyond political parties. The CIA don't give a fuck about the political parties.
Yeah.
The intelligence agencies are worried about self-preservation. So it's not, oh, we're going to give you the Epstein files to implicate Trump. No, no, because if they allow that to come out about Trump, these intelligence agencies, then their operation
Is in
gets
jeopardy. Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
gets exposed. So they're not going to let anybody get it out. I don't think that means that Trump's not in it. I also don't think Trump was like fucking doing wild shit with these. I think that means that Trump's not in it. I also don't think Trump was like fucking doing wild shit with these kids either. I don't think that's what's important, but I think there was definitely some type of relationship in the sense that maybe Trump was moving money with him,
Mm-hmm.
maybe Trump, right?
Yeah.
But the issue for Trump is any implication of that does look bad. So it doesn't matter if he did anything wrong or not or went to the island. It's just the fact that you dealt with him is going to be a bad look.
Hmm. Yeah, and Trump was the biggest real estate developer in New York City for 20 years in the 80s and 90s. He was trying to get funding from every way he could. So of course Jeffrey Epstein was one of the best money managers in New York City at the time. Of course he probably had a couple meetings with him trying to get funding for new buildings, new hotels, right? So I agree with with what you're saying there. And
Yeah.
it could be implicated that it's not coming out because intelligence agencies don't want it to. That's very logical, and especially when you're dealing with multiple intelligence agencies. Like we know he was implicated with the Mossad in Israel. We know he was implicated with the CIA. So yeah, if you're working a multinational crime organization blackmail scheme, they're going to try to keep it under wraps, and they're not going to give it to the presidents. Especially the whole thing that doesn't make sense to me is because, like you're saying, they want to keep it under wraps. But the president himself, Bill Clinton, was there all the time. So that's what doesn't make sense to me. Why was Bill Clinton there with him all the time? Why did he have a painting of Bill Clinton in a dress at his house?
Goofy. Goofy. Yeah, that Clinton for sure was fucking around, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
He for sure. He's a. You can tell that dude's creepy. He, the Lolita Express. You remember what they said that name means?
Oh, yeah, I do. You have to remind me though.
Yeah. So here's what was the other fucked up thing about the private jet he had. The people who were riding on that jet consistently, who called it that, knew what it was. So Lolita Express is a reference to a book about child
Yes.
trafficking,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe Lolita is either the name of the book or the name of something that had to do with this book. That was exactly what it was. It was all about child trafficking
Mm-hmm.
and into sex slavery. So they called his private jet the Lolita Express. These guys. So they clearly knew what the fuck this guy was implicated with and what they were going to do on that island. That's not a joke. That's not a mystery. No, they called it the Lolita Express. Another point too. Certainly, they have all the flight logs of who flew on this plane too. You have to log everybody who gets on a plane, even if it's private, even if it's a private jet. ID, write down their names, exactly who's flying on every single flight. They have to do that. So these flight logs do exist. I mean, well, they obviously they exist. That's how we know
Yeah, they've been out.
they've been out. So it's it's not a secret. And then for the Trump administration to come out, he didn't do anything. He was good, clean.
So another thing with the Lolita Express too is they wouldn't write these little girls' names. They would write female. They would write underage female, or they would write something of like regarding like that it was a girl that I don't know that wasn't there, or like they nobody was there. Like it wasn't their parent or anything. It was just like child, or they would write like female. It's like, why? Just write who their name is, which I think is probably a lot of the victims, right? They would write just, female, 21-year-old female. They wouldn't write their names out.
You'd think Clinton and them dudes would do the same thing. It's like, here, let me put my name on here, but we're just gonna put female for this one. If they fucking had to have a brand, they would just put male 68. Like, why if you could have gotten away with not putting their name, you should have put your name, Goofy.
Right?
Very interesting. But yeah, just the disrespect to the public is what's insane about it. The disrespect, the just clear, callous, cold lie to the public. Oh, he didn't do it. He killed himself. He didn't do it. Da, da, da. Oh, other one recently that had happened. Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer. See that?
Mm-mm.
Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer was just killed.
Oh, that's convenient.
Convenient, huh? Also, one of the billionaires who were implicated with Epstein right after it happened. Oh, it just so happened that he got thrown off his yacht and drowned.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah, I did see that one.
Oh, what? All these guys just all happen to just kill themselves and die. That's crazy. His lawyer was saying his lawyers for his most recent case in 2020. When did he kill himself? 21?
No, probably before that.
19?
Yeah. 2018 or 19?
Yeah.
It's been a while now.
The other point his lawyer was making, which was a very good point, this guy's probably going to go next, was, yeah, he said publicly how Epstein had no inkling that he was going to be stuck in jail for the rest of his life. His lawyers, what they were discussing with him before he had killed himself, was the fact that he was likely going to get out on bail. Epstein thought, or on an appeal. So Epstein was fully convinced that he was going to get out on appeal and then get out of jail and dip the fuck out of there. So would a guy who's convinced that he's going to get out of jail here soon after an appeals process, would they be incentivized to just kill themselves all of a sudden because they couldn't handle it?
Yeah. And the other thing you got to think about too with the death of him is the CIA might have gotten worried that spilling beans on certain aspects of things, right? So he doesn't want to go to jail, like you're saying. He's not they didn't want that. They wanted to keep him quiet. So
Yeah,
choke him
of
out.
course, Of course he killed himself, or killed himself. Of course he was killed. Of course. Nobody in their right mind who thinks they're getting out on an appeal, getting out of jail, is just gonna fucking kill themselves. He thinks he was getting out, and his lawyers confirmed that. They said this guy was under the impression that he was getting out. Of course, he didn't kill himself. It doesn't make any sense. And so, and then the cameras turn off in this state penitentiary. Oh no, and the guards were asleep. Oh, they think we're fucking retarded.
We know that
Well,
wasn't
no,
true. We know that's not true now. They have that footage.
or you can't see anything.
Yeah, it's just